In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your lower control arm on your Kia Soul. It's located behind your front wheel. Using a 21mm socket, we're going to take off our wheel. If your wheel is stuck, put one lug nut back on and give it a good whack with a rubber mallet. And remove your wheel. Using a 14mm wrench on the head of the bolt and a 15mm long socket, I'm going to take out my ball joint bolt. Take out your bolt, set it aside. Turn your wheel to the left. Use a cold chisel to split your knuckle a little bit to remove your ball joint and lower control arm. You can also use a pry bar. Spread that out a little bit. Let's see if it comes free. I'm going to set up my exhaust clamp on the lower control arm to help pry down on it. It's a little trick somebody taught me. So you just use an exhaust clamp. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but it does make life a little easier. Once you get that hooked up, you're going to use a really long pry bar, and you're going to push down and remove your control arm from the knuckle. I'm going to take out this 10mm head bolt just to make life a little easier. Set that to the side, and now we can move this if needed to get to this bolt for the lower control arm. Using a 17mm, it seems like our bushing is stuck to our sleeve on the inside. So we're just trying to loosen it up and get it out of there. All right, looks like we're ready to come out. Now we're going to go to the other corner and take out that bolt. I'm going to use a little penetrating oil. Our bolt on this side is also pretty stuck. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to take out this bolt. There is a nut on the top as well, which is 19mm. I'm going to hold that with a wrench. I'm going to use a pry bar, apply pressure to pull it out. We did have to use some heat to get this out of here, so you may have to as well. Now we're going to take our bolt out. Now we can remove our control arm. I'm going to take off my exhaust clamp first. I don't need that now. And we may need to pry this out, or it may just come out, depending on the mood it's in. Make sure you take off this protective cap for shipping. Slide in your back bushing first. You might have to tap it in. once you get it partially in there, you can get a punch and try to line it up the rest of the way. Now I'm going to use a pry bar and pick up my control arm on this side. Once you're close, you're going to get your punch going on the front bushing and line things up. You can start your bolt. And you should line up on the other side. All right, got it through. You may have to pry at the very top of the bushing in order to get it straightened out enough to get the bolt through. Once you get it through, you can put your nut on the top and just get it started. Make sure your other side's started, and then we're going to line up a ball joint. You're going to want to use a socket and just make sure that this is all the way through. You can use a ratchet if needed, but don't tighten it down yet. That's probably good. And now we're going to line up our ball joint with our knuckle. I'm going to put this exhaust clamp back on so I have something to pry with. And turn your knuckle towards it until you're lined up. I can gently tap it with my rubber mallet and a punch if the ball joint's really stiff. Once you feel like you're pretty lined up, you're going to use a big pry bar and try to pry it up into the knuckle. Make sure your exhaust clamp isn't in the way, obviously. Let's get this out. Now we can put our bolt in and the nut on the back side. Once you got everything started, we're going to tighten things down, and then we're going to torque it at ride height. Now we're going to snug this up. And now we're going to put a pole jack under here and support the vehicle at ride height before we torque down all three spots. I'm going to raise the suspension to ride height with my pole jack. Probably good. And now we're going to torque down all our bolts. We're going to torque our lower control arm where the ball joint is to 50 foot-pounds. Now we're going to go to our bushings in the back on our lower control arm. Torque your bushings in the back to 100 foot-pounds. Now you can lower your pole jack or whatever you're using to keep it at ride height. I'm going to lower my vehicle down. Start your bolt. Tighten it up. Now you can put your wheel on. Install your wheel. You're going to start your lug nuts by hand. I do recommend taking it to your local shop anytime you do any sort of front suspension so that you can get in alignment. Once you get those started by hand, you're going to start at the lower one Lock the wheel on. And then tighten in a star-like pattern. Using a 21 millimeter socket, I'm going to torque our wheels to 80 foot-pounds in a star-like pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.